Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Wednesday, which normally doesn't mean anything, but for today, it means I'm doing a track from scratch stream. Because last month on Patreon, you guys donated enough money to meet the goal of doing double tracking, which means I'm going to be doing 2 a week for this month. So this is a new one, a whole brand new one. A whole super new, brand new thing to do. And I know what I'm going to do, and it's going to be a lot of fun, because some of you might hate this a lot. It might be a thing that you hate a lot, but this is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know, but the 30 or so people that are watching on the stream, this is going to be a surprise. I'm going to do a metal track, a straight up metal. I might have some EDM elements involved in it, but it's just going to be straight up metal. And don't worry, I am going to close the door. But first, I need to get my guitar. 1 second. And now I have my guitar. So here's how writing a metal track usually works for me. I start with the interesting part, which is I make a tone for the guitar. And then I just kind of riff around until I have something. And then, here's gonna be fun. You guys will get to see me. Am I clipping? Oh, I totally am. Jesus. You guys will get to see me actually use Superior Drummer the way it was designed to be used. I should turn this down a little bit. Wait, we have 3.9. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do this. So I actually already got the cable plugged in. It's good, because finding the cable would have been really annoying. Yeah. Metal. That's right. This track is an award for being brutal. So, this guitar, this is a Schecter Damien 6. I don't know if they make these anymore, but it doesn't really matter. It wasn't exactly a stupendous guitar. It was pretty good. But it's got EMG HZ pickups, which are considered to be fairly low end. But I am so used to this guitar that I'm able to do pretty much what I want with it. All right. So we started off by I'm direct in on my interface. Someone just asked, and these are actually both my interfaces. The top one, the bottom one. The top one is the primary one. The bottom one is the secondary one. My mic is actually going into mic 1, which is going into the other FL, which is running my voice that you guys are hearing. And mic 2 is where the guitar is plugged into. So if I turn up the volume. And it is astoundingly quiet. I'm also turned down quite a bit, so this is gonna be interesting. So I'm also tuned to a special tuning. I'm tuned to DAD-FAD, which I'm actually going to check right now because that's what I need to do. I need to tune my guitar. I like to use Guitar Rig. I will be using it. This is Guitar Rig 4 because I don't actually own the newest complete, so I get Guitar Rig 4. But that's okay because I'm actually not going to be using it in a very principal purpose. Tuning my guitar. Tuning it real good. Yeah. So, my usual tone stack begins with an Edison. Because this is where I record the guitar. I record the guitar dry, and then I run it through all the effects after the fact. And then I have a compressor of some kind. I like using Maximus. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to turn off the compression on all 3 bands. And on the bands, I'm going to turn the bands all the way down. This is so that largely it's the same band for everything. This cuts off because the filters do make a difference. But I'm going to use the master to do some funky things to the guitar, which will be fine. But not going to do anything with that right now. And then, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the attack so that the delay is minimal. And speaking of delay, I'm going to minimize XSplit so that it doesn't freak out. And EQ. EQ before distortion. This heavily influences the result. Can you hear me? Someone says, where's the audio? Can you hear me? Okay, that was that guy's fault. Good. Making sure I just didn't start, the first half of this video with no audio. That would suck. And then we have the distortion. Now, my favorite distortion module is this guy. This is Poolin LE456. This is a free plugin. You can actually go to this guy's website, just Google Poolin, the blog, and you can see there's an amp sim pack for Windows and Mac and whatever. And there's a bunch, but this is the one that I like using the most. Now, this is where Guitar Rig comes in. In Guitar Rig, actually, let me demonstrate what this sounds like so far. Not much. Pretty regular because there's not actually any distortion. There's no distortion at this point, but this is what it sounds like with distortion, which is what I will be using. That's not what a regular guitar is supposed to sound like, but that's what a distortion sounds like. And if you ever looked at a real guitar setup, there's a head and then there's a cabinet. The head sounds like this. If you were to plug the head out into some full spectrum speakers, this is what you would hear. But the cabinets are not full spectrum speakers. Cabinets are very specially designed to sound a particular way. And this is what we're using Guitar Rig for. We're going to use the control room cabinet. There's actually a better version of this in Guitar Rig 5. It's very much more particular, but this does the job. Suddenly, guitar. So Guitar Rig is cool because it lets you do this lets you do different mic positions and stuff like that. But what this is it's letting you fade in between cabinet impulse response files, and the impulse response files work pretty much the same way that reverb impulse response work, where you have a particular file that sounds a particular way, and then you put it in a convolver, and then it runs the signal through it, and then it colors the sound, and that's what's happening with Guitar Rig. And there's also different cabinet types. I prefer the vintage 1 and 2 4x12s. Like I said, the Guitar Rig 5 has a little bit more options in this regard, but this is totally adequate for what I'm doing right now. Now, the EQ that I have before the distortion helps mess around with the sort of basically the tone that the guitar has. It's like that doesn't make any sense, but like versus say if I did this. Or the opposite. So that's the point of having the EQ before the distortion, is to sort of have that help. Now, the compressor that I have is to help with, you can kind of compress the tone, that's fine. But I also discovered recently that Maximus makes the perfect pre-distortion gate. This is actually more important for things like leads and such that are very, very, very high gain. but I like it on rhythm as well because it helps to keep it tight. So watch, this is what I mean by this. So like you're familiar, if you've ever seen the limiter. The limiter has a regular, just a gate on it. And you can say, cool, gate here, threshold and release and all this good stuff. That's what the limiter does. But Maximus is a wave shaper. Maximus is a wave shaping plugin. And this lets us do cool stuff like just like that. And this is essentially gating it right now. This is actually a really, really hard gate. It's a very hard gate. So what I like to do is I hold down Alt, and it takes the snap off, and I can read up top the value, and I like minus 44. And I can also sort of amp it up a little bit. The overlay, I forget what it's called. It's called Capture Layered Windows. That's what you're talking about. Okay. Now you should be able to see. Let me make sure. Yep, there they are. Cool. It's a good thing I got that ahead of time. So this particular kind of compression setting that I have up here actually probably is distorting the dry signal. Let's listen to what it sounds like with editing. I guess not. How are we doing that? That's doing a little bit, but that's okay. Because running it into the distortion beforehand, the distortion is doing a lot to the sound. It's like really having a big effect on the sound. Yes, I'm making icicles. So then after I have this stack, I put a EQ on top of the whole thing. And this is where you can determine how metal you are. Because if you're really metal, you have a big old scoop. And if you're not that metal, but you're only kind of metal, you have not as much a scoop. I'm not used to doing this, hearing the guitar as quietly as I'm hearing it. This is what's up. So actually, you can see in the input into guitar rig, it's actually going louder. I'm busy. I know that. Thank you. I will. All right, so what's going to happen now? Okay, let's talk about someone asked a question in the chat about what the really metal option, like what do you pretty much why do you do that? This has to do with older metal tones, and the reason you do that is because that's where like the vocals and the snare and the drums and the toms all fit, and so you can make your mixes louder by taking away the very full spectrum instrument that is your guitar. And someone else just asked if I have tried the Easy Mix option, Easy Mix by TuneTrack, where they have the Metal Gods presets for guitars. I have, and they're very good, but it wouldn't have been terribly educational if I used those. So what I'm going to do for a second is I'm going to turn off my mic so that I can turn this up louder and make a tone that I actually like. So that's what I'll be doing for a second. BRB. That's good enough for now. And what I mean by for now is the fact that we have to remember that I have the Edison before the tone stack. The idea being that I'm going to record the dry signal. And this means that I can change the tone whenever I want, which is becoming real handy for later when we do mixing. And yeah, people are asking about people are talking about this idea of this low pass that I did here, or high pass rather. The point of this is, like they're saying in the chat, woo, resonation and stuff like that. Like that, the resonance and basically there's no reason for a guitar to have low end because there's going to be a bass guitar. I am actually going to record for real bass guitar too, so that's going to be neat. All right, so now we are at the point where I have a tone I like. It's fine. Like it's pretty average. It's a pretty average tone, and this exists for me to kind of play around with, and I need to come up with a song now. Like I'm not totally sure where I want to go with this. I mean, I kind of know where I want to go. Like what do I want to do? I want to do like something real like metally, like metal. Not quite guar. I'm not gonna do that. Something kind of like thrashy, you know? Also, like it's hard to have like the same sort of traditional idea of like an arrangement with metal tracks as we are used to with EDM tracks because metal is very riffy. Like you could say that EDM tracks are very riffy as well, but metal is really riffy. In fact, most metal is prog metal, like what people would consider prog metal, which is the idea that it progresses from one riff to the next with a zero care about where it's going and where it came from. So, actually, the next step I think would be to get up Superior Drummer and make some drums. So this is going to be really fun because this means we get to use Superior Drummer the way it was originally designed, as opposed to what I've been using it for, which is as a kind of a filler to more electronic sounding drums. We get to use it in its own wonderful glory. After the burial style. Ugh. All right, so let's look at what we got. I'm kind of a fan of the 24-inch to 20 by 24. The basic kick is the full-on, the default kick is probably the most like technically superior kick, but like I love the overtones that come with this. Now, the Metal Foundry does is it gives us two kicks, and we do actually get two kicks of the same kick. There's a left and a right that are actually different drums. So I'm going to do that. Let's look at the snare. I dig this guy, but I use it way too much. I can work with that. Toms. Let's do the DW sections. I love the DWs. They're nice and big and thick and huge. And that's going to be good. Hats could be literally whatever. My favorite ride is the Giant Beat ride. I dig that. Bosphorus. This guy? Forget. That dude. That's a good like basic startup. All right, so now I need to like I need to have actually come up with a riff. I don't want to spend the whole time just like noodling on a guitar, but this is kind of what you do. One, two, three, four. 225. I don't know what my favorite metal band is. I mean, it depends on the kind of metal. Like, I really, really like Goat Whore, but I also really, really like Periphery, and there are two completely different kinds of metal. See, I think what I was just doing is not in a regular time signature. I can just go straight at that. Where is it? Notice that this is 100% super unmixed drums that's happening right now. This is all very experimental. I want to try and get one riff down and get like some bass down, just so I can kind of like get like over a very basically mixed sort of, just to show you guys. And then the later episodes we'll actually finish it. I might actually get this done this month because you guys probably aren't going to meet the goal to have double tracking next month. But what's my limiter doing? Nothing. Good. All right, so okay, so we're looking at 9/8. Yes, it needs more crash. Drums need a lot of things. Like I said, this is 100% unmixed. I don't know if I want to keep it like this though. As much as off-time signature things is cool, it can get kind of weird if it's not done 100% perfectly, which I'm not necessarily sure I'm going to do. But let's talk about recording the actual guitars now. And this gets to be fun because we're going to double track it. And I usually record it part by part. Like I make a part, I see what I need, and I come up with a new part, and then I make a new part. So so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to have it loop. I'm going to keep playing the part over and over again, and then I'm going to I'm going to pick the two best takes of the whole thing, and those are going to be what I end up using. All right, let's try this out. That last bit there was an experimental harmony just to see how that would work. You get the song jump marker to appear because I'm looping. Hey, it's Adam. Hi, Adam. I had him at a lesson like an hour ago. Hour and a half ago? Yeah. It's the looping, the fact that it's jumping in the song is what's creating that. So now I got this. So from here, I'm going to pick the best bits. So I'm going to route this into input 1. Well, actually, no. I'm going to route it into input 20. 20. And actually, because I want to harmonize it, I'm going to clone the track. So now I have 2 of them. And note, when you do that, when you have an Edison, it actually clones the file to an Edison, and it'll actually use more RAM. So you want to like keep your Edisons clean. So we're hearing it with the tone, right? But remember, we recorded it dry. So to double track it, if I just did this, it wouldn't really work because it's the same file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it unique and then make it basically a clone of the file. So I'm going to paint one left and one right. And I'm also going to come in here and make sure that this is enabled for stereo and that this is enabled for stereo. Left and right stereo. All right. So we kind of heard a little bit of funky going on in the middle there. So I'm going to take the slip tool and check the next one. Not quite. All right, maybe it's the first one that was wrong. It was. Go figure. And I want to check his harmony. Actually, I remember that I fucked up that second one. I'm gonna and actually I have to make this unique as well because it's gonna go into Trinity 1. That sounded 100% as awesome as I thought it would. Holy balls, that's awesome. I didn't know that would be that cool. Ah, metal. How I missed thee. I'm gonna have to mix it differently though, because it sounds, I mean, it just sounds like it's happening twice and it's kind of loud. Let's listen to the second guy. Nice. I'm not going to keep the low end. It's going to be a bass guitar, remember. All right, now I got to come up with something reasonable for the drums. Not going to... okay, someone just suggested that I change the time signature into project settings, and I'm 100% not going to do that. It's honestly easier just to use these. I'm using like just the pattern sizes. Just forget the grid. Just don't even look at the grid in the background. Don't even look at it at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a way I could get it to not show it at all, but that would kind of ruin other things. But like, it's not sensible. All right, now let's look at the drums. All right, so I'm gonna make a beat that's not this because it's stupid. Maybe whatever. Let's mix it. Let's do some mixing. This is the bottom mic on the snare. So Superior Drummer arranges the drums not by instrument, because you see we do have instruments, but that's not the way that it's being represented. Because if I hit the note, it's coming in a whole bunch of places, and this is because Superior Drummer arranges the drums by mic position. So if we look at the mixer, we have a bunch of stuff. We have snare top condenser, snare top dynamics, snare bottom dynamics, snare trash, which is not on, that kind of thing. So we actually have a bottom mic. You might also notice that you can hear the kick drum in the bottom mic, and this is because the regular drum recording, like a normal drum recording, will have bleed on things, and you can actually have selective bleed on instruments inside Superior Drummer. And this isn't just like the kick drum that we're hearing in the snare bottom mic isn't just a filtered kick drum that we're hearing in the snare mic. What we're hearing is literally when they recorded this kit, they have the mic in the position, they have the instruments in the position, and when they recorded the kick drum, when they recorded the main actual kick drum, they had all the other mics active. And that's why we're hearing the kick drum in that. We're also hearing the kick drum in the overheads. We're hearing it in the ambient mics and all that stuff like that. They recorded every single mic all the time. They don't have them all on by default because it'd be a lot of RAM. But if I wanted to, I could. That's the hat mic. All right, now let's bust it up. To 18. Let's do that. Call 18 drums. Like literally every channel that's here goes with the drums. So I am going to add more mics. This whole half the mixer is drums. If I ever added any additional stuff, then yeah. All right, so let's see. I like. Okay, first I'm gonna save this because sometimes shit gets real. 25. What's today's date? The 11th. So 6/11. There we go. There are overheads. I was just messing with them. I'm also gonna turn on an additional overhead mic. See, this is how you set it up in Superior Drummer. So you see how when I click on this, this tells you what instruments are in what microphone. These blocked off ones are not saying that you can't have those in those microphones. Those are saying that you have to have those in those microphones. So like the cymbals, for example, in the rides have to be in the overheads because that's where they're from. Just like in the toms that are there for that particular one have to be in that tom. Same deal with the ambience and all that stuff like that. So let's do mono close. Like if I wanted to, I can go to the kick drum and I can turn on like the snare and the cymbals and shit to be bled in through the kick drum mic. Superior Drummer isn't that expensive. I mean, in comparison to some other stuff, it's not that expensive. It's reasonably expensive. It's like it for the amount of crap it gives you. Like this Metal Foundry pack, like with all the drums and stuff that are in here, is like 50 or 60 gigs together, or like 30 gigs. It's a lot. This snare is not particularly great. Pre-board key view. This is okay for a roughie for now, I guess. see, I made the harmony. I have to re-record the harmony as to be the actual same rhythm as that thing. To actually design a loop that fits the drones or the guitars, huh? They abbreviated it to FL because Kellogg sued them out of Fruity Loops. So watch this. Now I kind of want to have reverb on the snare, but instead of adding reverb to the snare, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to turn on the chamber mic. I'll put the snare. Yeah, just the snare. That's this dude. Where the hell are you going? Let's put a fill in here. Threes. Can go way too hardcore. No. Okay. Let's get back to regular. All right, so I want to re-record the melody, or the harmony rather. So let's do that. Input 2. Oh, I don't really need to have that incredibly high. What the hell did I do? It's important to have the chugs in there. Good guitar samples. Shreddage and Shreddage 2. Made by I already forget the name of the company, but it was Zircon is the guy that did those samples, and they're really good. It's a contact patch. It has lots of cool things. I actually did a demo for them, for one of them. One of the demos is mine. I did two kinds of harmonies there. I did one that resolved on the 1, and one that didn't. One that resolved on the 3, because that's what I was doing. I was doing a minor 3rd harmony, and they do not come post distortion. They come pre distortion. The shreddage pack. Okay. So you go in 21. Notice how there's no guitar noise whatsoever. It's because the gate is so good. Here's hoping that my change was as good as I think it is. Hoping that's the other guy. I don't want to make too many unique files. Wait, did I not make... I didn't make the other guy stereo. I'm a smart person. Alright, so let's see what those sound like. This guy here. This guy here. Here. Alright, so the second one's better. Alright, we have a short bit of time left, so I'm gonna do some bass. Just for this part, just so we have a starter. To kind of see what the end result will sound like. See, okay, I have two bass guitars. I have a fretless and I have my super bass. And the super bass is actually just a really good guitar. It's a lot better than the fretless, so I'm going to record with that. Unfortunately, I can't sit down and record it at the same time because it's a giant guitar. So this will be fun. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record it dry, like as fast as I can, and then I'm going to make a tone, like After Effects. What is wrong with you? You know what? I'm on. That's fine for now. Now, I like to play with the fingers. However, to get the tone that I want with the sound that I'm probably going to make, I need to record this with a pick. It's a consistency thing. So many Edisons. Probably not going to do this very well, but I'm going to try. Ugh. Everything about that instrument is ridiculous. All right. Now, how I normally do bass tones is that I make a regular tone. Like I said, this is a regular, what would be, I guess, called a dry tone. And then I make a, and then I run it through the same distortion as the guitar separately. So a regular tone, actually I have a preset for this. Let's open up Patcher. Presets, new 2-channel bass, yeah. So this is actually the tone that I use for my band, Krakatoa. I'm going to use the dry tone, but I'm going to turn off the distorted tone. So that's fine, but I'm going to turn off these guys. And then grab. not playing very cleanly. I'm a little rusty. So much like regular EDM stuff, we are going to employ some sidechaining. The easiest one I can do right now is I'm going to actually sidechain the main clean bass with the kick drum, which makes sense. I don't know if I'm going to add any EDM elements to the song. I might. See, I forget that the chamber mic is set by default pretty low. And then, you know, put a master compressor on stuff. Although you can't really push metal in regular music, quote unquote, as hard as you do EDM stuff. But I do push it a little bit, you know. And that's a good start. This is actually a pretty good start. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this forward, but I do like it. I enjoy it. And this is actually a pretty good intro to sort of like how I do metal mixes. How I'm gonna do it later when I'm actually done with it is gonna be quite a big departure from how I normally do EDM stuff. But for now, this is pretty good. Anyway, If anyone has any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.